Today I have someone with me who's known not only for being a top 10 player in the world, but also known for having one of the best serves on the PPA Tour. Roscoe's serves gives him the ability to start every point with an advantage, and it can also cause his opponents to miss a lot of returns. While many people have tried to copy his serve, no one's really been able to pull it off like he does. So today, he's gonna break down his signature kick serve, which is probably the most difficult serve I've ever had to return. Okay, so before we get into the tips, let me just try to return some. I wanna see how hard it is.
All right, coming full speed.
Wow, okay. A lot of velocity, definitely a lot of spin. Let's see one more. Wow. So guys, what's really different about his serve is how much height he gets over the net. I think that pass like 3 or 4 feet over the net?
Yeah, I'm really trying to create that margin in high angle in order to kind of have that ball bounce into you. So doing that paired with a lot of spin is gonna really help get that trajectory to bounce you back, because if that ball is crossing low over the net, it's gonna push linear, but I want that ball to really kick, and that's what makes it like the kick serve, right? It's that trajectory paired with the spin.
Yeah, because he's hitting it higher, it comes down more. So when it gets to you, it's sort of falling, and then the spin makes it jump off. So there's a really erratic bounce that's hard to time. All right, so what's the first tip you got?
So I think the first thing you have to think about for the serve in general, but especially this serve, is gonna be the grip, because we're wanting to make sure that we're getting extreme topspin on the shot. And the way we do that is by using a little bit more of an extreme grip. And so what I recommend for the kick serve and to get that really natural topspin is to use a semi-western grip. And the way you find that, you can just put your paddle on the ground here, and if you go to pick it up, you're generally gonna be in a semi-western grip. And if you wanna open the paddle face slightly, that's totally fine, but what we wanna avoid is using like a continental grip here or like an Eastern grip. Eastern's fine, but if you really wanna get that extreme topspin, you wanna have a semi-western grip. So the way you create topspin is using an upward swing path paired with a closed paddle face. And so those two combined are gonna create that spin. And so we need to make sure that if we're using a little more of an extreme paddle face and we're swinging up more, so we're exaggerating the two, we're naturally gonna get more spin.
So when you use your grip on your serve, do you use a different grip than your drives?
I think it depends on what serve I'm hitting. If I'm going for this kick serve rather than maybe like a flat fastball, I'm gonna use a little bit more of an extreme grip. I would say you don't want to change it too much. You wanna make slight adjustments. So I usually am hitting my forehand in between an Eastern grip, which is going to be like, you know, right about there, and a semi-Western grip. So I'm hitting it just somewhere in the middle. Sometimes it changes. But for the kick serve, I'm going to a semi-Western because I want that exaggerated topspin.
So the more spin that you want to get on your serve, the more extreme you're going to go in your grip towards the semi-Western.
Exactly, and vice versa. If I'm going to hit a fastball, which is going to be a hard linear serve, I might go a little flatter because I'm really just trying to make sure I have that linear trajectory and I'm not focused on spin as much. So having that paddle face is going to be a huge part to getting that spin. I would say the second thing is making sure that you're very loose with your hand. So if you're holding the paddle and 10 is squeezing it really hard and 0 is like it's about to fall out of your hand, go for a 3 or a 4, because a big part of using and utilizing that spin is going to be having a really fast paddle head speed motion. And so if we can whip our paddle forwards like this, right? If we can really whip that ball forwards quickly, we're gonna be able to generate more spin, and therefore we're gonna have a better serve. But if we're very tense and we're muscling that grip, it's gonna be really hard to get that whip. So hold the paddle pretty lightly. Like I like to almost let it like dangle out of my hand a little bit. So if I go up to serve here and I'm muscling that ball and holding it really tight, it's gonna be really hard for me to get a lot of whip on that ball. But if I come up to the line and I have that loose hand here, and I just kind of like shake it to make sure it's loose beforehand, it's gonna be a lot easier for me to whip through that ball, and it's gonna have a lot better spin and RPM in general. I would also say this is just kind of an unfortunate truth to pickleball, but the equipment matters a ton. You need to have a fresher, grittier paddle to do this, and you can't be using something that has a really smooth face, because when you do swing upwards, it's not going to grab on that surface. This paddle right here feels like super, super gritty. So this is, why it's really easy for us to hit these kick serves.
Yeah, guys, if you want to get our new paddle, the Duo, head to our site. We have a holiday discount going on now. And if you use code KICK, you can actually get $20 off, which makes this super affordable. As Roscoe said, it's a super gritty paddle, and the combination of the grit and the foam really makes it grab the ball so that when you do serves like this, they go up and they get a lot more RPMs. All right, we got the grip down. Now we're gonna talk about the contact point, or where you hit the ball, and the swing path.
Yeah, so this is a really crucial part to this serve, and I think there's a big misconception to a lot of spin serves about how to do this, because in general with a lot of power serves, we want to be hitting that ball pretty far out in front of us, right? Because I can use it as a weight transfer. So I toss out in front of me, and I'm really getting that like forward weight momentum. And especially with a closed stance too, when you're using a power serve, it's gonna be a lot easier to transfer that weight. I serve with an open stance, and again, just a quick note on open stance versus closed stance. Both work. I think open stance is better for spin serves. I think closed stance is better for power serves. You can do, any serve with both. But in terms of having a contact point for the kick serve, we don't want it to be so far out in front of us, because we actually want to make sure that we're getting the outside of the ball and that we're holding that ball on our paddle for a long time. So if the ball's too far in front of us, it's going to be really hard to carry that ball and create that natural dwell time. If it's a little bit closer to us, we can wrap that ball and catch it and shape it.
So you're saying like here versus here?
Yeah, so a little more at the right hip versus so far out in front of you. So rather than tossing,
see a few examples.
Rather than tossing out here where it's hard and I really am just moving forward, having the ball a little closer to my right hip so I can just go low to high this way.
So it gives you the ability to go around the ball more.
Exactly. I can wrap around that ball. And so that leads me to my second thing, which is we don't want to really just be making contact behind the ball. I'm trying to get the outside of the ball here, because I want to wrap from my right hip to my left shoulder. And so if I start with my paddle down at my right hip and I'm swinging upwards with that paddle angle and I'm coming around that ball, I'm basically just maximizing spin for this serve. And since this has a really high trajectory for the serve, we want to make sure that we're not just getting the back of the ball, which is going to be for flatter serves, we're wrapping around that ball. So you can kind of hook this serve a little bit to get that
so it has
spin.
like a little bit of side spin on it?
Exactly. Okay. You're hooking that serve. And especially on the deuce side or the right side, you're going to be able to angle that serve off a little bit.
So guys, he's getting around the ball more. So he's not just brushing it up right behind it. He's brushing slightly around it, which makes the ball spin at a little bit of an angle, which makes that bounce even more erratic, right?
100%.
Fun little side note too, guys. Me, Roscoe, and Drew from Enhanced Pickleball were all college tennis teammates at UCLA. Me and Drew were actually the ones that convinced him to get into pickleball. Now he's top 10 in the world. We're doing this full time. If you want to help support us, make sure to subscribe to both of our channels. Now guys, we're going to talk about arm extension and weight transfer, two things I don't see rec players thinking about at all. Probably the biggest mistake I see rec players making is they're not doing both of these things.
Yeah, so in general, if you want to make this kick serve just even more deadly, we need to have that weight transfer, and then arm extension is key. But if you look at a pitcher or a quarterback, you're always looking at their weight transferring forward and they're extending their arm, right? If I'm a pitcher, I'm loading this back leg and I'm extending forwards towards my target. The same thing goes for the kick serve, or really any kind of high level pickleball serve. So if you have a closed stance, you would load and you'd move forward with that outside leg. And if you have an open stance like me, you would really load on this right leg and go upwards. I'll just show you the way I do it. I'm kind of starting back here and I'm stepping in and I'm loading this leg and I'm trying to exhaust my energy forwards and upwards for the serve. And then I'm pairing that with arm extension forward. So when I'm wrapping around that ball, my arm is extending, making sure that I hit that full extension point and then I'm able to wrap it around. So I'll show you what that looks like, right? I'm kind of stepping into the serve and I am going upwards with this right hip and I'm loading this leg, and that's going to help me get that power, paddle head speed, and spin necessary to hit the shot effectively. So I'll show you one more time what that right leg load looks like. So I'm getting really low here and I'm exploding upwards and a little bit forwards, which my arm extension is helping me do.
Notice, guys, too, he's also getting a ton of rotation. So he's getting his paddle forward, his body weight forward, and he's rotating, which gives him so much more power. I see so many rec players that just serve like this. They're not rotating at all. So focus on all these three things, and you're gonna serve way harder with way more spin.
And lastly, if you want to hit targets, extending your arm towards that target is going to increase your precision and accuracy more than anything you can do, right? If my weight is going towards that target and my arm is extending towards that target, the odds of me hitting that target are going to go way up. If my weight is falling to the side and my arm is pulling somewhere where it's not supposed to be without hitting that full extension, the odds of me hitting that target drop dramatically.
Now, guys, Roscoe is going to take us through the next key, which is having a routine before your serve. I very rarely see players at the courts do this.
Yeah, so consistency with the serve starts before the serve itself. So when I get up to that line, I'm not just completely walking into my serve. I'm pausing for a second and I have a routine that gets me in that mode and that allows me to stop thinking about how I'm going to hit this serve, and it allows me to really focus on just hitting the serve itself. And so when I get into that routine, first thing I'll do is I'll take like a small breath, right? I'll walk up to that line, I'll kind of pause for a second, I'll take a breath, and that's when I know, all right, like anxiety gone, every point is behind me now, I'm just focused on this serve in this point. So I'll go, and then I'll start with a little bit of a ball bounce. Again, you can make your routine how you want. That's why it's a routine, it's personalized to you. Mine is 3 ball bounces, and then I'm kind of shaking my grip a little bit to make sure it's light, and then I'll go into the serve. And the reason I like having a routine is because if you're making micro adjustments on your serve itself and your routine is different every time, well, then you're not able to test those variables critically, right? Because it could be your routine was different and it's not the micro adjustment you made with your grip or the micro adjustment you made with your legs. So if your routine is the same every time, then the changes you make in your actual serve swing are going to be easier to recognize. So make sure you have a routine before you serve. It's going to lead to a lot of confidence. And I'll show you what it looks like here real quick.
And one thing he mentioned, guys, that I don't think a lot of people think about is he breathes. So not many players are focusing on their breath when they're serving. The one thing you need to make happen is when you're hitting the ball, you want to be exhaling. That's why some people grunt. So you notice Roscoe takes a breath before he gets started with his motion. I'm sure he exhales. And then as he's doing his take back, he probably takes another breath so he can exhale as he's going through the ball. This will make you looser and give you more power. So now the next thing, guys, is the result that we're going for. So the result we're going for is you want it to be deep and you want it to be spinny. So Roscoe, let's see what that looks like. So one thing we say, guys, is you want it to land in the back third. Are you aiming for the back third of the box, or where do you aim for?
Yeah, so I'm definitely aiming in the back third, but I'm doing that by creating a lot of margin over the net. So one thing that makes this serve really difficult, I'm trying to get about this much of clearance over the net, which you don't see in other serves. And because of that, it's going to travel further. So if this serve lands short, well, then it's just going to pop up to you and you're going to be able to take it, or it's going to slow down by the time it reaches you and you're going to be able to take it and move in nicely. But if it's landing back there and it's kicking right before you're about to make contact, that's where you really get the magic of this serve. So I'll show you again, right? If you're standing close to that baseline and I am aiming high over the net and really putting that ball deep at your feet,
yeah,
it makes it really difficult to move forward off that ball. And in result, I'm going to get an easier return, or if you're trying to run through that, you're going to overrun it and I'm going to get a lot of free mistakes. So the first thing I would say is clear that net with just more height than you're used to. And especially if you have that spin, the ball will come down and you should be able to trust it.
So short to me sounds like it's like this region, right? And deep is in this back third. And what's crazy, guys, is if you're hitting serves like that, you force your opponents to have to stand farther back, which makes it take longer for them to go in. Like, you can't stand here when he's hitting the serve. Watch. If I'm standing here and he's hitting the serve, I'm literally taking it as a short hop, which makes it like really hard. I can't even move forward on that return because it's landing right at my feet. So I'm forced to have to scooch back, which just makes it take a little bit longer for me to get in because I need to let the ball rise. So you're really changing a lot that's happening. It's not just the return, it's how quickly your opponents get into the kitchen too.
All right, so a huge part to hitting this serve, and I would just say my serve in general, is what I call the coil. And this is basically the loading of my legs, my body, to unleash that energy forward. So when I start my serve and I go like this, and I'm really dipping down into this right leg, I'm bringing that paddle down, that's what I would call the coil. And doing this allows me to really unleash that energy forwards rather than trying to put all the pieces together one by one, right? I'm loading everything and it all goes into my swing. So this is the coil right here, right? I'm getting everything down here and I'm going forwards. This works on the kick serve really well, but it works well on all high level serves because it is a way to really make sure you're getting the most out of your serve. So try and use this coil in your game when you go to serve. Try it out. Loading that right leg, putting that arm down here and really setting that paddle, and then everything comes together when you swing. So make sure you're using the coil.
There you have it, guys. That was Roscoe's kick serve, arguably the hardest serve to return in the world in pickleball. Roscoe's now a top 10 player in the world. I've been trying to get him on the channel for a long time. Didn't respond to my text.
No.
Finally got him on the channel. But yeah, if they want to learn more from you, Roscoe, where should they go?
Yeah, so I've been making YouTube content for the last few months, and really the whole thing was to basically create an online community where people could go from an amateur to a high-level player, get all those video courses and have real frameworks. And so I'm building this thing called the Pickleball Collective. It's basically going to show you how to go from an amateur to a high-level player, and then you'll get access to me and other top pros, so you'll never have to worry about having your questions answered again.
Awesome, guys. Check out the Pickleball Collective at the link below. Thank you so much for watching, guys.
Right. Higher.